First Maccabees 1, verse 11. In those days went the route of Israel, wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein, that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. Double honors to my apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Citations to you brothers to the four corners of the earth, preaching His word and laboring in His word in truth, love, and sincerity. And what you see here is the Body Issue magazine, okay? And you see one of the sisters, it's Venus or Serena Williams, all right? I don't know which one in particular, but what you see here is Israelites, okay, because she's Israelite. She's following what? An ordinance or ordinances of the heathen, okay? It meant that many of our people are into today, the things that they do, they follow the customs and the ways of the heathen, instead of following the ways of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, okay? The Lord God of Israel. The law, statutes, and commandments, their heritage, their culture, what they are supposed to be following. But instead, they follow the ordinances of the heathen, as they did back then. Because when you read the first book of Maccabees, it tells you how the Israelites became Greeks, okay? How they were Hellenized by Antiochus, and how they were told to keep their children uncircumcised, how to defile the temple, to not keep the high holy days, basically lose their whole way of life and heritage, and cling on to theirs, the heathen, which the heathens are the Greeks. Now I'm about to scroll down and just show you, just a couple images you see. You see? This all goes back to the Greeks. You see? Dwayne Wade, Israelite. John Wall, Israelite. Isaiah Thomas, Israelite. See? Being naked into sports, Conor McGregor, Israelite foreigner. As you see, this is the Greek way of life and Greek heritage. These are ordinances of the heathen. Let's prove it. Let's go into this first. Look at the Greek statues. You see? Look. This was Greece. This is what Greece was into. This madness. You see? Sports. But what you see is they were all naked. Okay? They were all naked. Look, that's what Greek was into. Look, madness. Is that supposed to be a woman with a... See, this is just fucking madness. Slakia for using a so-called cuss word. But this is what you see. These are all ordinances of the heathen. And these are statues. In that Body magazine, what? You see the same thing going on. The same exact thing. Ain't nothing new under the sun. And our people are into what? The ordinances of the heathen. Because them Greeks that we were Hellenized by were Edomites, okay? You so-called white people. All right? So let's go into this word gymnasium, right? Which means naked. Gymnasium, ancient Greece. Then gymnasium, Greek gymnasium, in ancient Greece functioned as a training facility for competitors in public games. It was also a place for socializing and engaging in intellectual pursuits. The name comes from the ancient Greek term gymnos, meaning naked. Athletes competed nude, a practice which was said to encourage aesthetic appreciation of the male body and to be a tribute to the gods. Gymnasia and palestra wrestling schools were under protection and patronage of Hercules, Hermes, and in Athens, Theseus. I believe that's how you say that. But what you see, this is an ordinance of the heathen. So when you see Israelites partaking in this, shows you that they are in what? A heathenistic, a Gentile state of mind, if you will. All right? Because they're still Israelites, but they're just in a Gentile state of mind. So let's go back to First Maccabees. And we can start at the top, because this is dealing with Greece. All right? So First Maccabees 1 verse 1, it says, and it happened that Alexander, the son of Philip of Macedonia, who came out of the land of Chittim, and had smitten Darius king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in esteemed the first over Greece. So this is dealing with Alexander the Great, okay? And this is what we tell you people, that the Bible is not only a prophetic book, not only a guide for Israel, the children of Israel, to teach and judge you nations righteously, and how to guide the people, the earth, and everything in it, but also a book of history, okay? A book of prophecy, law, statutes, and commandments, and history, okay? And judgment from the Heavenly Father himself. So this is dealing with Alexander the Great, okay? And esteemed the first over Greece. And he made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth, and went through the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, and so much that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. Because when Alexander the Great came to rule, he had an exceedingly great army, all right? And everything that came into their path, they stepped on, all right? Where was that? And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. And his servants bare rule every one in his place. And after his death they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. So dealing first with the ruling of the Greeks, with these Edomites, evils multiplied on the earth. Okay, when they came and rose up into the power, and there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been a hostage at Rome, and he reigned in 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. In those days when there out Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen. So you had sellouts, men of our own nation, persuaded many of Israelites to go make a covenant, to make an agreement with the heathen, okay? That were round about them, or round about us, that it says. For since we departed from them, we had much sorrow. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein, that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. You see that? You had wicked men in Israel teaching our people to go and make an agreement to follow the ways of the ordinances of the heathen. And some of them ways were to what? Defile the temple, keep your children uncircumcised, okay? Eat unlawful food, probably shave off your beard. Just do things contrary to the Holy Scriptures, all right? Do things the opposite of the way of the way how the Heavenly Father, what He gave unto us as a nation of people, all right? Which was the statutes, the judgments, the laws, the commandments. It says, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen. And guess what? The customs of the heathen are vain, man, okay? The Lord tells you that, all right? We're not supposed to be following the ways of the heathen. We're supposed to be following the ways of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So let's get this real quick. Jeremiah 10, verse 1, it says, hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. All right? So that's the point. The customs of these heathen, the custom of the people, in which is speaking of them heathen, they're vain, man. Okay? We're not supposed to be following the ways of the heathen, man. The heathen, following the ways of the heathen, led us to slavery, right? Captivity. Led us from going off and following the ways of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, where now we done got jacked up, okay? Because we mingled ourselves upon these nations, these heathens, okay? And what? They became a snare to us. We in a start heavy idol worship, all right, which is spiritual fornication against the Heavenly Father, which is adultery, and many different things. Okay, so back at First Maccabees 1 verse 14, it says, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen. You see, in our holy land, meaning Israel was running around, doing sports, naked. No one, you ain't supposed to be looking upon people's nakedness like that. All right, that's against the scriptures. Verse 15, it says, and made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant. You see, they made themselves uncircumcised and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief. So there you go. Okay, and as you see here, the same thing what our people are doing, did back then, they are doing today. They're selling out their soul to do the customs of the heathen. All right, and who's the ruling class of heathens now? Well, it's still the same. The Edomites. Still the same. Just under what? The American name. All right? Because all America is Babylon the Great is still the second leg of Rome. All right? And the Greeks were the Edomites. The Romans were the who came after the Greeks were the Romans. They're the Edomites. And since this is the revised Roman Empire, America, the second leg of Rome, they're still the Edomites. All right? And this is their last rulership. All right? This is the last time that there will be in rulership, polluting the whole earth, polluting the Lord's people. I mean, defiling the whole earth, polluting the minds of the Lord's people, and everything else in the wickedness that they do. Okay, but you just see here that these our people are still into the ordinances of the heathen. Just check it out, man. And I'm just visually showing it to you. Okay, in case a brother doesn't know of these things, all right? Because this is exactly how Greece did it. So when they're up there doing these portraits, these magazines, naked, man, it's madness. And it all goes back to the ordinances of the heathen, okay? So let's go into a little bit more, just to touch on a little bit more. All right, so let's jump to verse, we'll jump to verse 41. And this is just showing you how we were Hellenized and how the Israelites became Greeks. All right, how they became Gentiles, if you will. So this is why when people get caught up in the New Testament, they don't know what's going on because they don't know the history of what happened to Israel. So when you see the Gentiles dealing with salvation, okay, when you see either Jew nor Greek, they're the same people, but it's speaking about these Israelites that became Greeks, that were Hellenized, okay, that followed the customs of the Greeks. All right. First Maccabees 1 verse 41, it says, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. You see, that New World Order energy he was trying to put out. And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. And yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. You see? Let's read that again. Yea, many also of the Israelites, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, consenting to his religion and sacrificing to idols and profane the Sabbath. Because who's their Israelites? You. All right? For the king had sent letters by messengers into Jerusalem and to the cities of Judah that they should follow the strange laws of the land and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifices and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and the festival days. You see? And that's all off, and pollute the sanctuary and the holy people. You see? And this is just showing you how we became Greeks, okay? Gentiles. But you had some of our people that didn't follow it, and what happened? They got put to death, all right? Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts, that they shall also leave their children uncircumcised, you see, leaving from the ways of the Lord, because you're supposed to circumcise your children, the male child, on the 8th day, and make their souls abominable in all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end that might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said, he should die. Okay? So there you have it, man. All right? So what you're witnessing and seeing that, this is the Hellenization period. This is how Israelites became Greeks. That's why they're called Greeks in the New Testament. They're called Grecians. They're called Gentiles. And to the Jews in Judea, the ones that are circumcision, all the Israelites that were scattered abroad, the diaspora that was in the other lands, right, keeping the customs of the other lands and speaking their languages and their ways, they were called the uncircumcised. Why? Because they fell off from keeping the ways, the law, statutes, and commandments, the high holy days, right? They wasn't circumcised, many different things, which all consist into the law, statutes, and commandments that they weren't keeping. Okay, so with verse 51, it says, "In the self-same manner wrote he to his whole kingdom and appointed overseers of all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land, and drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could fly for succor." And a lot of Israelites, what they do, they ran. Okay, they ran for safety because the Israelites that ran wanted to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. They wanted to follow the ways of the Lord. And burnt incense in the doors. Slakia. Verse 54 says, "Now the 15th day of the month, Casalu, in the 145th year, they set up abomination of desolation upon the altar, and built idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side, and burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law which they found, they burnt them with fire." So when they found our scriptures, the Bible, okay, when they found the Holy Scriptures, what did they do? They burned them. And the same thing they going to do today when they catch people with the Bible, okay? More like they're going to grab them and burn them. Because even in I believe 1776 to 1826, he had something called the Bible Destruction Group. Now, more likely he had them burn the Bibles as well. But what did they take out of the Bible? The Apocrypha. Okay, and the Maccabees, the book of Maccabees is in the Apocrypha. Okay, which goes into the history of us being Hellenized by the Greeks. Okay, which is a vital point in history in the New Testament, why many people are have a stumbling block upon them because they don't read and have no understanding of history. Okay, so when it's dealing with them Gentiles, it's dealing with salvation. When everyone read the Jew nor Greek, it's dealing with the Israelites. But if you read the first book of Maccabees, if you read the Apocrypha, you can see, okay, this is the history periods of the Greeks and how we were Hellenized to follow the ways after them and leave off from the ways of the Lord. Okay, and wheresoever was, verse 57, "And wheresoever was found with any of the book of the testament, or of any consent unto the law, the king's commandment was they should put him to death. Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities." You see? "And now 5 and 20th day of the month, they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of the Most High. And at the time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised." So you had those certain women that still feared the Lord to circumcise their children as they were supposed to. And what happened? They died for following the ways of the Lord. "And they hanged the infants about their necks, and rifled their houses, and slew them that had circumcised them. Howbeit many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing. Wherefore they chose rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died, and there was great wrath upon Israel." The Hellenization period. Okay? And you had some of our people, like I mentioned before I even read this, that a lot of our people wanted to keep the ways of the Lord, not eat unclean meats, okay, unlawful foods. They didn't want to get into the madness of defiling the temple, right? They was keeping their children circumcised. But what happened to them? They were put to death for following the ways of the Lord. Okay? So that's just going to pretty much do it. I just wanted to touch on, how Israel, okay, aspired to follow and do the ordinances of the heathen. So I'll read that again. First Maccabees 1 verse 13. It says, "And then certain of the people were so for herein, that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the custom of the heathen. and made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief. Okay, and that's the point. I was just showing you, this magazine. All right, well, this is just the Greek statutes, but this magazine is ordinances of the heathen. Okay, because it goes back to the